Okay, here we go.
JB, you look no worse for the wear this morning. I'm not going to lie. I think I know a way to make you feel better in case, it was a long night last night or something, okay? As I'm wearing my Muhlenberg shirt, I hope you notice today, although our guest coming up will be a little bit upset I'm wearing that shirt instead of a Salisbury shirt. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, another video he may not want to see, but I call this, I enjoy seeing football teams having fun, okay? And we see all kinds of Twitter videos out there and whatnot. And here is actually Rowan with a new culture, the Pat Ruley administration, we'll call it, trying to have some fun with his team, it looks like, down in Glassboro, New Jersey. Let's watch this.
Can I ask a favor of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you sign this for me?
That's crazy. How did you get this?
You getting autographs.
How did you get this? Where did you get that? That's wild. That's wild. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whoa! Where you get this from? That's a goat. You see that? That's a goat right there. Oh man, look at that. Yo. Middle school basketball. There ain't no way, bro. Not even a football picture. A Spider-Man hat. Bro, look at my Spider-Man hat, bro. It's drip.
Oh. All right, I got you.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, Jay. That's crazy, yo.
Baby Jay.
Hey, yo. Little East. Baby Jay.
Well done, guys. Well done out there in Rowan Land.
Nice.
So, out of fairness, I think it's appropriate that we expose some of our pictures we should be signing from our older days. Here's JB. Give me a circa on this one, JB.
Yeah, that's about springtime of 1992. That's my senior year of high school. It's in the front yard of my parents' house, the last house I lived in my hometown before I went off to Hobart.
That's a future defensive back right there, folks, at Hobart College.
Yeah.
He didn't even know what he was getting himself
Burnt
into.
Toast.
Okay, now out of fairness to you, I had to dig one up myself, and you'll probably enjoy this one. This is from me being 11 years old, I want to say, in 1987, I want to say.
Sister's
or
wedding.
86.
I love it.
Yeah, it was my sister's wedding, actually. Yep, I'm 11.
You can tell it's the 80s based on Gina's hair.
What are you talking about? Still like that to this day.
Well, hey, if it works, it works,
So we'll sign those pictures too with our autograph. But look, we're having a little fun to start, but we got plenty of action on this show. We got a couple of guests coming up here. We'll tell you more about that on the other side of the cold open, or not the cold open. Well, it is cold open, but the intro ultimately.
Warm
so
open. Seems nice.
it is. So let's go. It's season 17, week 5 preview show of that in the Huddle.
All right, a little livelier today. Feeling it on Friday.
I don't know how. I really don't with you
This
today.
is actually my son's 18th birthday. So Walter
Declan,
after all these
happy
years,
birthday.
is 18 years old. I can't believe it.
Oh my
man.
God.
It's crazy.
How's that possible?
The baby is officially an adult.
Well, in recognition of that, let's go through some games. We have Friday night action back in some of our regions. That's good news for some folks out there. And I will be attending one of those games. Hint, hint. We'll talk more about that a little bit later, though, especially in predictions. And Nate Milne will probably hate me for some of the stuff I might say or might not say. Who knows? Let's go through it. Mass Dartmouth and Mass Maritime is tonight. And then we got not what I would call our strongest schedule in the history of Region 1 there, JB, but the NESCAC, we both picked different games as our games of the weekend in the NESCAC. Yeah. I got Middlebury Amherst. You've got Trinity Tufts. I will give you the edge on that, but I wanted to pick a game other than what you had already picked on that one.
Sure, yeah.
But anything else you see standing out here in Region 1?
Well, I mean, Salve versus Merchant Marine has become a pretty solid NUMAC conference battle, and so we'll see if the Mariners can kind of keep their heads above water, I guess you can say. And it seems like the Seahawks are, they've been a little iffy here and there, and it's, we all feel like it could be coming down to the Mariners and the Pride and the NUMAC. We'll have to see. This game will help us get a better idea on that one, and then. A couple of good NESCAC games, like you already said. Worcester State, Bridgewater State at 4. And we got Western New England versus Anna Maria at 7 o'clock. You may want to check the lights on the scoreboard for that one. That could be a 70, 80, 90-point combined game. A lot of touchdowns probably in that one. And then, Colby and Bates, the start of the CBB trophy process, and that's always fun too. You got to turn the mute button off.
I know. I'm realizing as I take a look at the Region 2 situation that I probably should have added a game to our pick. So remember this for later. I'll go over the Friday games, and you'll see where I'm going with this. Friday night games, Wilkes Juniata. Rowan Johns Hopkins is actually a very interesting game on paper right now. And yes, Rowan kind of got spanked in their last game by Ursinus, but who knows? Johns Hopkins has had a very interesting start to their season. McDaniel-Gettysburg, by the way, that was the game that should be added. McDaniel-Gettysburg also, and Ursinus versus Muhlenberg, game I attended last year at Ursinus, and so I'm going to the Muhlenberg version of it tonight. Take the Saturday game, sir, and let's see what we picked here.
Well, there's going to be a great pack matchup with W&J against Westminster at 1 o'clock. We got Ithaca Hobart, which, the Statesmen have not been able to solve the Bombers. The last time they beat them was in 2016. Can they do it this year? We'll have to wait and see. RPI Rochester, this is a 4-0 Rochester team at home against a 2-2 RPI, where some people in the past might have thought the Engineers were the favorite. Maybe things are changing in the Liberty League. We'll see. 3 o'clock, we got the Battle of New Jersey between Montclair and TCNJ. And then the 6 o'clock main event, probably one of the biggest games this weekend, is Christopher Newport, the defending NJAC champs, against Salisbury at 6 o'clock.
And that one should probably be added as well. It's not on our sheet, actually, so let's remember to add that one. Region 2 is pretty strong in terms of games picked, because we had picked Ursinus Muhlenberg and RPI Rochester for me, Hobart Ithaca for you. Before we go on, though, we do have a... Yeah, I kind of figured that. I feel like it's a good time to bring in our guest because, okay, thanks. We get it. You're a crony of the Hobart program. We get it, okay? Coach DeWall yes. Pays you well, obviously. Okay, let's go here. Region 2, we have a guest, and we just talked about that Christopher Newport Salisbury game. I'll give you the honors here, or you the honors here, to introduce him.
Yeah, no, this has been one of the biggest surprises of the 24 season, this amazing resurgence by the Salisbury Seagulls, and a big part of that is a junior wide receiver, Daniel Clark, who is joining us in the Huddle. Hey, Daniel, how you doing, man?
Good. I'm excited to be here. Thank you all for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. So, so you've been with the program now. This is your third season. And, obviously last year, I think it was 6-4, not usual sort of Salisbury standards. What's been going on down there in Maryland, where you guys have just kind of rocketed out the chute? You've beaten a couple of ranked teams. You're now ranked in the top 10. I mean, just an amazing start to the season. What do you attribute that to?
I view that as a testament of what the off-season work that we put in, just believing in the culture that we've been building this past off-season with Coach Wood at the helm, just believing in each other, having each other's back, whether it was in lifting, on the field, getting extra work in together as a team. We just all bonded and molded together as a team, and we all were able to trust and rely on each other which eventually helped us come out and had the start to the season that we believed that we could have.
But Daniel, it's one thing to feel it, and there's 240 teams that feel it coming into the season, but when you guys just went toe-to-toe with teams like Muhlenberg and Hopkins, and you kind of demolished Hopkins for all intents and purposes, and Muhlenberg was a kind of steady stream until that fourth quarter. You kind of just ran over them in that fourth quarter. Seems like you guys have a little bit of depth and ability to take the duration of an entire game right now. At what point did you kind of realize yourself, hey, this team is special this year. This is different this year for us?
Yeah, like you said, with the depth aspect of it, we have a lot of great players here, a lot of great receivers, a lot of great slapbacks, a lot of great running backs. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you look over, you see those guys getting 3 and outs, and then that just improves more as the season goes on, and that just encourages us as an offense to go out and have their back and just keep putting up points. So they don't have to worry about anything towards the end of the game. But, just like you said, 2 great programs in Muhlenberg and John Hopkins. You really got to focus on playing 4 quarters of football, something that Coach Wood has been instilling in us all spring, all summer. And, we just believe in it, believing in each other, believing in ourselves. We just coming out playing good football, good quality football.
Yeah, certainly. And, the D3 football nerds like Frank and I, understand what, Salisbury's offense is all about. But for the national audience, I mean, you guys are an interesting combination of both sort of like a triple option team, but you also spread things out. And, you don't throw the ball a ton, but when you do, it's usually for pretty big gains. I know you've had some long receptions already this season, and your quarterback, Gage Catskill Hall, has had, it looks like he's got a pretty good arm. He's certainly found you deep on the field. Tell us a little bit about the offense that's run there in Salisbury.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge shout out to my QB Gage. Definitely build that chemistry with him over the summer and over the spring. But with that, like you said, we're pretty spread offense. People look at us and say we're run dominant, but we can't turn around and throw the ball behind you if you pursue on the run too heavy. And even with that, that's me at being a receiver. That's something we take pride in every day. You're going to get your shot. We're all being recruited to go ahead and catch the ball. That's all we did in high school. But Coach Fleetwood, shout out to my offensive coordinator, he gives us the plays. And we just take pride in going out and making plays without the ball. That's something that we've been instilled in, my past 3 years here. You're a better player without the ball than you are with the ball. And, we go out, we really take pride in blocking on the perimeter, making sure that our running backs and our slot backs have a chance to break huge ones.
So you enter into this Christopher Newport game, a team that obviously knows what it's like to be at the top of things here, and you sort of, have really the first flavor of what the NJAC season's really going to be like for your team when you get down to it. What do you expect here in a game like this? And, I mean, how does it feel to have this team? I think it was, JB, 6 p.m. under the lights coming up on Saturday, you said? And I think I attended that game a couple of years ago when it was a Week 11 game after I had attended the Catholic Springfield game earlier that day. So it's moved on the schedule. But tell me about what you foresee in this game coming up against Christopher Newport and how excited you are about this NJAC play.
Yeah, very excited. Start of a new season, as Coach Will likes to tell us. When you get into conference play, that's when you really dial in and you have to focus on, keeping the main thing, which is going out, executing, which can help you win football games. Great program they have over there. Watching the film over the past 2 weeks, over the last bye week and this week, seeing the great athletes that they had. They've done a great job recruiting. So, we're not taking them lightly at all. They had our number last year, so we're just excited to come out under the lights in front of our home crowd and come out with the win. Just like I said, playing 4 quarters of football, having to execute from the start to the finish. And that's something we've been instilled in since the summer, so we're very excited for that.
Yeah, in certain ways, I mean, you kind of would like the conference championship game to be in Week 11, right? But sometimes it happens in Week 5. But the fact that you guys have played a couple of top 25 teams in the last couple of weeks has probably been a good warm-up. You've had a bye week, so you had a little extra time to sort of rest and get anybody who's banged up maybe back on the field. But do you feel like the schedule that you played leading into this game has gotten you ready to basically maybe have a conference championship game in Week 5?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, huge shout out to the three teams that we played before. All having great programs. Another program is seeing you having a great program. But we just believe that you got to go 1-0 every week. So you got to do the things throughout practice, throughout the week to make sure that you go 1-0. You go 1-0 on Saturday. So we just been very focused, very intent on everything that we've been doing all week. Having all the reps. Just making sure that we're getting the mental reps as well as the physical reps. So we're really excited. We feel well prepared going into this game, and we know it's going to be a hard, physical, very passionate game.
And feverishly, I was working to get the schedule finally up here, and I think I got it right. Washington Lee, Muhlenberg, Johns Hopkins, Christopher Newport, as you said, after the bye, JB, William Patterson, Montclair, that Rowan team, which you cannot take lightly this year, TCNJ, Trevor Bopp and company, obviously tough out there, McDaniel and Kane. So we'll see what happens here. But, I mean, not for nothing, Coach Wood has been to the top himself many times. I've had the pleasure of interviewing him on a few occasions because Salisbury's been a little bit of an epicenter of East Region college football in Division III for a little while. What is it that draws you to Coach Wood? What is it that draws the team to Coach Wood, in your opinion, and gets so many great players to give their all in the way that you guys are this season? Tell us about that relationship everybody has with him and the guy he is.
Yeah, Coach Wood is pretty much an open book with all of us. One thing he instills in us is that it's never personal, and that's one thing we love as athletes. We want to be held accountable. We want to be pushed to a higher level of football. So we've really been having that these past few weeks, and even into the past summer and past spring. He's really been pushing us hard, making sure that we're ready for the first part of our season. And it's just an open door policy. You can go in, you can talk to him about anything. It doesn't even have to be football, and that's just one thing that's drawn all of us closer together. Even under him, he gets us pretty fired up. We have our team meetings on Friday. He gets us pretty fired up in those meetings. Feel like we can go play a game right after the meeting. So he's just a real good, energetic guy. He always brings the energy in practice, and we're just excited to play under him. A great coach.
I bet. And I imagine, too, that your strength and conditioning coaches are doing a good job. I'm having a little fun here because I have a screen up, and I have your freshman roster picture. You were 170 pounds back then. Now you're 190. Someone's hitting the weight room or something, man. I guess they got you a little beefed up there for some blocking and stuff. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, sir. Coach Matthew Nine, we just got out of lifts this morning. Huge shout out to him. He does a great job with his staff. We come in, we're ready to work. We always focus on bringing the energy, the same energy we bring on games and in practice is the same energy we bring in the weight room. And he really pushes us to hold ourselves at that standard that you come in and you're focused on getting stronger, getting more explosive, getting faster, getting quicker. And that's something we all take pride in from the spring to the summer to even now in season. We know it's a long season. We have goals of playing a long season. So you really got to do the things to recover and recuperate your body and make sure you're well prepared for Saturday games. So huge shout out to the coaching staff, the strength conditioning staff. They really keep us, on the tip-top shape.
Okay, Daniel, you already got one shot out of the way, technically. So it's that portion of our program here because we've enjoyed this interview, and we want to give you the opportunity now to turn tables and give some shout-outs to any family, friends, coaches, teammates, anybody that's out there watching this. Daniel Clark, the floor is yours for shout-outs.
Thank you, guys. Once again, thank you guys for having me. I had a great time. Go Goals. Want to shout out my coach from Suitland High School, 5200. Coach Ian Hill, he's doing a great job down there. I played under him about 2-3 years ago. Really changing the program around. Pretty sure they got a game tonight against Eleanor Roosevelt. So I'm going to be tuning into that, making sure they're doing the right things. Super proud of them. Shout out my mom, my dad, instilling in me everything that I have. Really proud of them. And I hope they're proud of me, But shout out to my teammates. We're going to keep doing the things that we do, keep going to work every day and getting better. So let's go. Go Goals.
All right.
Well, Nate Milne probably is rooting for you because, the guy that's associated with this shirt because it'll help their profile, their NPI, to watch you guys do well out there as well. And so, best of luck to you guys. It's good to see the Seagulls back on top here to a certain degree, and especially getting the respect they deserve. For those, like with Mary Hardin Baylor out there, I think one off season is the end of a program. It's not. It never is, realistically, when you got guys like Shermwood at the top of the heap there. And send everybody our best out there at Salisbury. And who knows, I might see you guys at some point down the line this season. Best of luck.
Yes. Thank you all for having me. Have a great one.
You too. Thank you.
You too, Daniel. Thank you. Good luck.
Clark. Yep.
Wow.
Great interview. That was fun.
It's caught that. We appreciate that too. Actually, so I shut you up, JB. That was the problem. There we go.
What?
That was my bad. Yeah. Well, no, it was definitely fun on
Still
our
the best
part
part
as
of
well.
this whole thing, man. It's meeting these guys.
100%.
It's just,
My God.
It's fantastic.
Daniel is just one of those guys that you wouldn't otherwise get to talk to, probably, except for this show, or get to know unless you had a direct affiliation with the Salisbury program, and to have the opportunity for us to talk with him, hear him, and see that $1 million smile he's got and everything else going on. It's just it makes my day. It gets me revved up for the weekend. Honestly, as you know, the weekends can be a little bit of a slog, and this kind of revs us up for it. Let's rev folks up for something else here. Region 3, go right ahead.
Yeah, so we got the start of ODAC play, and it's kind of interesting. I wonder if Coach Yoder and the Hornets are going to maybe sting, but Randolph Macon, the defending champs. Those Yellow Jackets, they had a little bit of a rough go there against Barry, and so are they vulnerable? Are they still going to run the conference like they did last year, or will maybe the Shenandoah take things over? We'll see. I think this is a great first matchup in ODAC play to kind of set the stage. Could be one of the same thing like we said with Salisbury, Christopher Newport. Maybe a theoretical championship game in week 5. We'll find out. Same thing in the SAA. Trinity has looked a little vulnerable so far this season, although the last couple weeks they've played great. Their defense has had to step up a little bit, and they kind of won ugly against WNL, which is a good team. But Center, you can't sleep on. They're very solid. The Colonels are certainly able to win this game potentially too, so that's a great matchup. Endicott Hardin-Simmons, though, is something that it's one of the few two teams in the top 25 that are matching up this weekend. It's an out-of-conference game. It's a potential revenge game for the Cowboys, who flew up to Massachusetts last year and were beaten by 30 points in a game that nobody saw coming. And maybe it was part of the whole thing in 23 was basically like the East region is like saying, hey guys, we're not the worst area with Division III football anymore, and they let everybody know. So the Gulls are flying down to Texas. I know the Cowboys will be excited about this one. They've played a good schedule so far, but they haven't really played anyone to this level of talent just yet. So it'll be interesting to see how they match up. ETBU versus UMHB, another big ASC game for both teams in the conference. Belhaven Huntington, USA South. Big matchup. Both of these teams have been in the driver's seat as far as the USA South championship in prior seasons. They're a little bit down this year, so this is kind of an elimination game for these teams. Whoever loses this is probably not going to be looking at a playoff shot potentially, so we'll see what happens there. And then in the nightcap, interestingly enough, the new guys, Centenary is hosting Lyon, which is a team that's only about 2 years old, I think. So this is like, sort of like the little bit older brother against the baby brother, I guess you could say, at 7 o'clock. It's, it should be a good one there in Louisiana. So it's great to have a couple of new teams in the mix, and it's cool that they're playing on Saturday night.
I was going to say you ain't lying, but that probably would be a bad thing. Yeah, well, listen, you did it yourself with your corny.
I did it myself.
Backside pun. Okay, here, I'll hit Region 4 just for you. Adrian versus Albion is an interesting MIA matchup. But this MIA matchup is somewhat important out there. And Mount St. Joseph, Hanover, the HCAC opening up play here, And Mount St. Joseph has had a interesting up and down season already, or down and up season, if you want to look at it that way. So we'll see if they're for real, and Hanover can beat a team like this. But will they in this situation? We'll find out. Ohio Northern versus Marietta. This is kind of like the heir apparent game to take on Mount Union with a good record scenario in the OAC, because the winner of this game stays very much alive in the OAC race if they can beat Mount Union eventually. But first, they've got to win this thing. And Marietta has put up some really impressive numbers. Ohio Northern pretty much slammed Heidelberg a couple weeks ago. So we'll see what happens there for sure coming up in there. Let's go on here to Region 5, and this is a quickie as well. And it is North Central versus Wheaton, and this is a very interesting setup. Again at Wheaton for the second straight year, and you got to ask yourself how that happens. And Coach Spencer and I were trying to talk about that a little bit after I talked with him following the Aurora game. It's like, how does that happen? We see it in different regions or different conferences that it lines up this way. That Carnegie Mellon at Grove City game, repeating at Grove City this year, is another one of those cases. So it's sort of, for a high-level game like this, it shouldn't happen. It should alternate every year. So, you know what? Don't give North Central more fodder to feel like they're getting, behind the eight ball in these situations, guys. Aurora versus Wisconsin Lutheran, and Illinois College versus Monmouth in really a survival game in the Midwest Conference in a lot of ways. But, when you look at this, it's more or less, if Illinois College loses, there's no way they can win the MWC. If Monmouth wins, then they've got the real chance, against Lake Forest coming up still, to make some noise in that conference. And the last thing we want to see in that conference is a 92-way tie based on performance in quarters and all that crap. And I use crap as a intentional term there. JB takes 6 as we get ready for our second guest of the show. Yes, folks, a second guest coming up. Go for it.
Double down. Yeah. So we've got, the WEAC coming out with a couple of big games. One actually that the mayor is flying out to Wisconsin to see in person. The Titans against the Warhawks at the Perk. 2 p.m. Eastern time, I guess 1 p.m. local. Oshkosh, Whitewater, probably one of the biggest games of the weekend. But Platteville against La Crosse is no snoozer either. And maybe, Frank, you can educate my simple mind on the rant about Platteville and the top 25 voters, just including them into the thing. I mean, the Pioneers are a good team, but sometimes I feel like the WIAC gets a little too much love. I mean, it's obviously a great conference, and there's some great teams in that, and there's going to probably end up being 3 playoff teams when it's all said and done. But I don't know. At the end of the day, the Eagles, if they're going to defend the title, they've got to win this game, and it'll be a big one for them to kind of get their conference season kicked off. And then in the Minnesota side of things, in the MEAC or MIAC, whatever you want to call it, Bethel takes on Gustavus. They came up a little short against the Johnnies last week. This is an important game for them to kind of get back on track. And if they are going to have a shot at the MIAC title at the end of the season, they got to win games like this. And then later on, if you're staying up late on Saturday, you got 3 West Coast Red Eye games in the SCIAC round robin. Cal Lutheran Chapman, Claremont Mud Scripps against Pomona Pitzer, and Laverne against Redlands.
Well done, sir. I can press buttons, I swear. Especially the mute button for myself.
Yeah, sure. The beauty of live television, or whatever the heck this is.
So we're coming up with our second guest, and he is going to continue, or is continuing, a tradition of Kyles as quarterbacks in Hardin-Simmons. How's that sound? Take it away and do the intro, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm interested to meet this guy because he's a transfer from West Texas A&M. He doesn't really have a background in what's going to be happening this weekend with Endicott coming to town. So I'm interested to get his perspective as kind of the new guy to this sort of sudden rivalry with this Boston area team. So we'd like to introduce everybody to junior quarterback Kyle Brown from Hardin-Simmons for the Cowboys. Giddy up. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm good. How are y'all doing?
Doing
We
well.
are good.
Welcome.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah. See, we're sometimes we're at a loss for words too. Don't worry. It happens from time to time. I know it's hard to believe on our show if you've ever seen us. But Kyle, I was alluding to Kyle Jones, obviously back a few years ago, who I watched live against UMHB. You guys will face that team twice this season. But first things first, revenge is all kinds of a word when you look at things. But you got this Endicott game coming up, but as JB said, you lack maybe some of the historical context of just 1 year ago, what happened there. Let's take you first things in, how things are going or why you even went over to Hardin-Simmons in the first place. Tell us what made you make this change and how is it going for you out there? In a great area. I was there a couple of years ago and enjoyed it immensely in Abilene. So tell me how it's going for you.
Oh, it's great. I love it here. This is probably the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. The coaches, the whole family, my teammates, this place is really special. And I've been telling the people, even at my old school, that if you came here and saw what it was like, you'd be like, wow, this place is not like anything else I've ever seen. So I'm very grateful to be here.
Well, I'm sure they're grateful to have you. The Cowboys are off to a fantastic start. You guys are averaging 67 points per game. You've thrown for already 683 yards and 8 touchdowns. I mean, wow. You guys aren't slowing anything down. I mean, from when you were considering joining Hardin-Simmons, was it the kind of the offense that sort of brought you in, that's like, oh, this looked like it'd be an exciting thing to play in? Was it the school? Was it sort of the total package?
Yeah, I mean, when I got the text from Coach Whitehead, I did my research and saw they score a whole lot of points and they win a lot. And I mean, who wouldn't want to be a part of that? And the more I talked to Coach Whitehead and Coach B, I felt like it was going to be a good fit for me, and so far so good.
We're not going to talk much about the North American game. I'm sorry to tell you. I know that the numbers would suggest we should maybe give a little more homage to it.
Points.
And here's the schedule. 9-7. But
Wow.
Let's look at the Curry game on this schedule because that actually has relevance to what's coming up next. You guys traveled up to Curry, which is not a short trip, that's for darn sure. And you kind of plastered them 73-21. They're in the same conference, the former CCC, now the CNE for Endicott now. And this Endicott team took a Hardin-Simmons team last year that, frankly, looked underprepared or weary, travel weary or something. I don't know what it was, but I'm not going to also make excuses there for Hardin-Simmons. Endicott pure out played hard. And this is not a team to take lightly. The rankings tell us this now. What are these guys telling you about what happened last year, and how are you going to eradicate that situation come during this rematch that's going to occur tomorrow?
Yeah, Endicott's a real good team. Really good defensively, really good up front. They have a good scheme, good at making different looks out of some of their defensive fronts. Yeah, I've watched the game a few times last year, talked to some of the guys. Obviously, it wasn't very good. Some things happened and just couldn't get going, but we're preparing good. I think Coach Whitehead and Coach B are putting together a real good plan for us to go out there and execute. And, yeah, we have all the confidence in the world and we're ready to go.
So one of the things that I just noticed when Frank popped the schedule up, and it's hard to avoid, but like, has there been any sort of distraction? You guys got UMHB next week, and that's the first of 2 big games that you guys are going to have against one of your top conference foes, one of your like rivals. I mean, has that come up at all this week, or is it completely focused on the Gulls?
No, sir. We talk about being 1-0 every week, and we're 100% on Endicott.
Not
Very
surprised
Bill
about that,
Belichick. I like the Bill Belichick mentality right there. Kyle, an interesting scenario with the ASC right now, obviously, this double round robin, but somebody's going to get a chance to go to the playoffs, even with a 4-team conference ultimately. And, Mary Hardin-Baylor's got ETBU, not an easy game coming up this week. You guys have already had a game against Howard Payne in this situation. How does this level of football compare to what you were at before at West Texas A&M? And what is it about Division III that you find special ultimately? Let's get your perspective on this.
Me and Coach Whitehead have actually talked about this quite a bit, and I really don't think there's hardly any difference in game speed or anything like that. There's some dogs at D3. I mean, we have a lot of dogs on our team, and so is everybody else will have dogs on their team. But yeah, the round robin schedule is definitely a odd thing, but we're going to take it 1 week at a time and do what we need to do.
Yeah, that's basically all you can do. I mean, you can't change the schedule. But on a lighter note, I'm curious. Quarterbacks typically have to take care of the big guys, their offensive line, that block for them during games. Now, I understand that Texas is maybe a barbecue sort of centric kind of thing. Like, if you were going to take those guys out to dinner, are we doing like Texas like smoked barbecue, or is there something else down there by Hardin-Simmons that those big guys like to eat?
See, funny enough, I'm really not that big of a barbecue guy. So if I was going to take them somewhere, we're probably going to go to a buffet or something and let the big boys eat as much as they can. Also, I'm kind of broke, so
that's what I'm talking about.
I'm going to have to do something affordable.
Yeah, there you go. Golden Corral to do the trick or something like that, right?
Right.
Listen, Kylie, unfortunately you lost me when you said you're not a barbecue fan. I mean, I look to go to Texas games and fly from New York down to Texas, not just for the great hospitality and everything, for the damn barbecue food, okay? Come on, man, and some Tex-Mex too, for that matter. I'm not going to lie. But we'll try to delete this from the archive, that answer from the question, because that could actually alienate you from a lot of people in the greater Texas zone. But Kyle, what is the game plan for you? I mean, how many years of eligibility do you have left, and is this going to be the final home for you ultimately?
Yeah, I got 2 more years left, and I've actually been asked this before. Yeah, I'm 100% on staying here. I'm not going to look anywhere else. I really do love it here.
Yeah, look, the transfer portal's become an interesting thing out there, that's for sure. But the thing I always have a problem with is in-division transfers. You didn't do that. You did it something I think that was for both the education and the playing time, ultimately, scenario that you wouldn't have gotten elsewhere. And so credit to you for using it to find a place that's going to be home for you for a few years, it sounds like. And best of luck down there. Let's give you a chance here for shout-outs. Any family, friends, teammates, anybody that would be watching. Kyle Brown, you may be new at Hardin-Simmons, but you're great at this interview thing. Here's your chance to give the show.
Okay, shout out my family. Shout out the offense. Shout out the O-line. Shout out my boys back home. And yeah.
Where's home?
All right.
Austin, Texas.
I will be down there in
basically
3 weeks or so, give or take, to referee in a flag football tournament down in Austin, where they do have a lot of good barbecue and other foods for sure. I never leave hungry, and I've went on a diet in anticipation for that fact. So, Kyle, I hope to get down there and see some Texas football, though, for D3 purposes. And if you guys keep playing the way you're playing, that will be happening at some point in time. So we look forward to it. Best of luck to you guys. And we'll see how Saturday turns out against a very good Endicott Gulls team. Good luck to you.
Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one.
Yeah, good luck.
You too.
Yeah. Appreciate you.
Kyle Brown.
Love the y'all. Appreciate y'all. Texas, man. Gotta love it.
Come on now.
Gotta love it.
So, okay, JB. Let's get us ready here for our prediction portion of our program. You saw some of the feedback we got from our NESCAC discussion the other day, and interesting back and forth going on in the Twitter sphere on this. What are your thoughts after seeing some of the feedback?
It's interesting. At the end of the day, there's always going to be a group of people that are going to push back on the idea that, let's say, a majority of white, wealthy young men are being discriminated against. Let's be honest. There's people are going to say, like, how can you say that? But when you look at the letter of the law, when you look at the way Title IX was structured, at the end of the day, the way things are shaken out for these student athletes, there is a valid case to say that they are being limited in their opportunities by these institutions. So I think both sides probably have a point, and the truth will be somewhere in the middle, like it always is. But people are entitled to their opinions. I think that it would be great if the NESCAC could put their hat in the proverbial ring. I think, like you said in our last show, there are some teams in that conference that could go pretty deep in the tournament. And if they really went all in football, it wouldn't surprise me if in a few years that they were in the national championship game. They just have the access and the resources to compete at the top level at pretty much every other sport in Division III. So why not football?
You almost did this long enough for me to get the games added to our list here on our picks list.
Okay, good. So I need to vamp for a little while. Okay, yeah.
That was exactly what your intent was there. I think we're ready to go.
Yes,
actually
exactly.
on this.
I planned it that way. Yeah.
So there's that. The music decided to start a little early there.
Yeah. Okay. Jeez.
Okay, let's go. What are we waiting for? I mean, seriously, we got to get going here. But you know how it works. I believe I go first this week, and the first game on the 12-minute clock is going to be NESCAC number 1, Middlebury at Amherst. Tough one for me. I'm going to pick the homestand on this one. Middlebury did struggle out of the starting gate, but they've righted the ship since that point. Amherst seems to be playing somewhat consistent football. Not necessarily. No, it's screw it. Middlebury. I changed my mind as I thought about some of what's been happening here.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, you go Middlebury?
I'll take the Panthers. Yeah, I'm taking the Panthers also. They had 3 preseason All-Americans for a reason. They've been at the top of the heap in the NESCAC the last couple of years, so I'll take the Panthers 25-17.
My score, 21-17, actually, so there you go. Trinity at Tufts, go ahead.
I think the Bantams, after a slow start, piled on the points on a good Williams team. Tufts is a tougher out, I think, especially at their home there in Somerville, Mass. But I'll take the Bantams to win 35-27. Yeah.
Xander Zabrowski, Nolan O'Brien. Until somebody figures out how to quell that connection, they're going to be doing that thing again. Trinity wins this game 37-17. Boy.
Oh, boy.
I have to go first. God darn it. You signed us at Muhlenberg.
Quick hits yet?
I didn't pick the game.
Anyone pick the upset? No.
Did I?
don't see it.
Get yours open there. No, hold on. We're wasting time on this. What did I pick? I did it like 3 days ago. Great.
You picked it says you expect a high-scoring affair that comes down potentially to an extra point or conversion separation. You did not really. You just picked it being a close game. You didn't pick the game though.
Well, no. The upset is Randolph-Macon though at Shenandoah. So
Yes.
I did not pick this game for an upset
one, yeah.
because technically neither are in top 25. That's why. Okay. Which is strange to say that. That's actually one of the things that escaped me as we were doing this. Muhlenberg is not in the top 25. In fact, they lost all the points that they had. Maybe part of a further rant that Pat could have gone on ATN. Earlier in the week I was going to pick your Sinus, and I have changed my mind as the week has developed because I believe in Joe Rapetti Okay, Joe, you're going to have to score 86 points in this game to win the game, okay? But your defense, I think they forgot to put them back on the bus at some point and bring them home. I don't know what's going on with that defense. Your sinus, what they did to Rowan is admirable, but a Friday night game at Muhlenberg, I've been there before. Picking against the Mules is probably blasphemy in this situation. And who am I to be blasphemous? Muhlenberg wins 86 to 85.
I think Muhlenberg will win, make it maybe more like 56 to 48, but it's going to be a high-scoring game.
What are we even talking about
That's
at this
forever.
point? RPI at Rochester. We got to make up some time. Go.
I mean, I love the fact that the Yellow Jackets are off to this 4-0 start, but RPI's played a bit of a tougher schedule, and they've had some tough losses. So this is a game where I think that their experience and depth maybe comes into play, but it's going to be a close call. I'll say the Engineers win, but like by a field goal, 31 to 28.
5-0. I think it's going to be 5-0. Chad Martinovich, do not make me regret being a believer in you and your guys right now. I like the gameplay.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
UNE was a little bit of a slog of a game for Rochester, but at home against an RPI team that performed well against Endicott, no doubt. I'm going to give the edge here to Rochester and probably lose my lead by doing this. But you know what? Yellow Jackets all the way. Sting them hard. Let's go. Rochester wins 21-20 in a thriller. Hobart at Ithaca. Ithaca wins this game 30-21. No explanation necessary. Go.
We have to beat these guys eventually. I mean, it's been 6 or 7 in a row that Hobart's lost. I mean, come on. It's 2016, 8 years ago. Statesman, it's time. If you can't beat them this year, then just, I don't know. Hobart 23-20. Calling it for the upset.
I might get that game back. Endicott at Hardin-Simmons. Go.
Yeah, you might. I think the Cowboys are going to remember, not the Alamo, but they're going to remember the 30-point loss last year, and so they'll take it out on the Gulls a little bit. I think Kyle is a pretty solid quarterback, and assuming that he can stay healthy, which was part of the reason why they didn't win last time, I think Simmons will take this game like 35-28.
Yeah, Galen Glenn, among others, were having trouble around that time last year, is what you're alluding to.
Yep.
It's tough to win on the road thousands of miles away, and Hardin-Simmons proved that to us last year against Endicott. But Endicott was a very good team last year and is a very good team this year.
Very good team this year, yeah.
I will give the edge to Hardin-Simmons at home, though. I don't think we're going to see a high-scoring affair like you might expect. 24-21, Hardin-Simmons in a close one, but they will pull it out. Randolph-Macon at Shenandoah. I obviously called for the upset here, so I will stick with Shenandoah by the score of 21-10. Randolph-Macon's just struggling to get the points where they need it, I think, right now. And so I'm going to say the Shenandoah defense does a good job at stifling them in this game. Go.
I'll pick Randolph-Macon just to maybe to try to get a game back here or something, maybe, or I'll be down by 2. We'll see, or 3. Depends on how this weekend goes. But I'll say the Yellow Jackets will find a way to get it done with their Division I transfer quarterback, but it'll be a close call, like 21-17.
Well, we've got 3 different picks so far, so we'll see. We'll keep tracking that. Mount St. Joseph at Hanover. Your turn.
I'll take the Lions. I mean, even though the Heartland is sort of down in general, I still feel like Mount St. Joe's has played a good schedule. They still have a good team. They can win this conference, so I'll take them 35-21.
Agreement for me on this one. 30-20 actually is my score on that game. Ohio Northern and Marietta. I just think I'll give an edge to the home team. Marietta is trying to go into uncharted waters for the recent years with what they're doing. I picked against the ONU before and paid for it. I may pay for it again on the road. But Marietta, I'm going to give the edge to here, 31-24.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Marietta as well. They might be the second best team in the OAC. We'll find out in a few weeks, but they've really come on strong the last couple of years, so I'll take the home team as well, 35-21.
Not much fanfare behind the Little Brass Bell game this year compared to most years, and it just feels different. Like the air is out of the sails of Wheaton for some reason, even though they may be winning games. Do they have a chance in this game, JB?
Unfortunately, I don't think so. I feel like this is going to be similar to last year. Maybe not as many points by North Central, but I still feel like they'll win this game like 49-14.
Yeah, I don't think that, but I think it's going to be 40-21. It's going to be like last year in that I think the 40 will be early, the 21 will be on the scurry toward the end of it, basically, in favor of North Central. Midwest Conference, Illinois College at Monmouth. Destined chance, I'm going to give a chance to on this one. Illinois College wins this one against the other Scots. 37-31.
Yeah, I mean, I was tempted to pick Monmouth here just because they did play Wartburg pretty tough in week 1, but I just feel like the offense of the Blue Boys is just a little bit, the next level. So I'll take Illinois College also, more of a shootout perhaps in like a 42-35 type of game.
I'm going to save the WEAC for last year. We'll go to the games that are just appended on here. Rowan at Hopkins. It's... Well, you go first, actually. Why am I even talking?
Yeah, right. I have to say that based on what we saw with the profs against Ursinus, I feel, Hopkins is the pick. They've had a little bit of a rough go with the Salisbury loss, but I think they'll bounce back here, 35-20.
Funny, I was going to say 35-21 actually in favor of Hopkins. If Will Leger can come back, I don't know if he's out for the season at this point or what the situation is, but if he can come back, that's going to be a difference maker for Hopkins down the stretch and stay healthy for that matter. Christopher Newport at Salisbury. Salisbury all the way at home under the lights. There's no way, I think, in this one they don't win this. 49-10.
Yeah, I think they're averaging like 60-something points now. I think they're going to get out to a lead and maybe dial it back, but they'll win like 45-21.
WEAC number 1, Platteville at La Crosse. Hit it.
Still the champs until proven otherwise. I don't know what the whole Platteville stuff is all about, but I'll take the Eagles to win 35-17.
Platteville is certainly a better team than they were a decade ago. Let's not kid ourselves on that, but you're right. I don't know that one season is going to be enough for me, to keep giving them the benefit of the doubt in situations like these, and that's kind of where we are right now. Now, they could turn that around very easily by winning games like this, and so a chance, but I'm going to give Wisconsin La Crosse the edge in this one. 44-20. Finally, Frank. Oshkosh at Whitewater.
5 seconds.
Whitewater.
I'm going to go with the home team. Yeah.
we made it. We're just at the 0 mark. Whitewater for me was going to be 31-24. You're saying?
Yeah, probably 35-28, or our favorite 28-24 score.
What's interesting about that game, let's take a step back for a second with the clock dead here now. This is, to me, on paper, a much better game than the Platteville lacrosse game because Oshkosh has come out of the starting gate here with the teams they've played, which were no push-over teams for sure, against Wheaton and against Linfield especially, where they've got to be a good team. There's no anomalies there. Whitewater loses against Mary Hardin Baylor and has the week to think about it. And I mean, how do you think a situation like that goes for them? Why do you think Whitewater, which has the loss out of the two of these teams, why would you give them the edge here? I'll answer the same question I'm asking, but I mean, why?
Yeah. Well, number one, it's a home game, conference, opener in front of a huge crowd, and I imagine after a game where you commit 8 turnovers, that the coaching staff was all over these guys, and they've probably had the hardest couple of weeks of practice in their entire football careers to get ready for this one. I know the Titans have had some extra time as well to prepare, but when you drop a game as badly as Whitewater did, they're going to be so focused and locked in to make sure that they win this game that I think that's going to be the difference.
Yeah, it's tempting to pick Oshkosh here. There's no doubt, based on that strength in the 0 and the loss column. And, in some ways, you look at the rankings, and maybe they're inverted as far as we're concerned here. Maybe it should be the other way around for these teams. But, either way, Oshkosh is strong. It would be a huge shot in the arm for their team to essentially open WEAC play with this win. And, assuming lacrosse wins, we kind of know where this thing is going at that point, if that's the case. But, Whitewater, not infallible. We know that now. But as you said, coaching matters and home stands matter. And, Tamir Thomas being back, I think, is going to be a big deal in this game. I think that's going to, be a difference maker. Balanced run pass for them a little bit better than they were against Mary Hardin-Baylor. But Mary Hardin-Baylor forcing the pass as much as was occurring in that game with those pick sixes early on, that sort of really put them down in an impossible situation because they didn't have Thomas ready for that game because of injury and everything else. So I think it plays out differently than what we saw 2 weeks ago, but I would not be shocked if we're sitting here on Tuesday or Wednesday saying, hey, Oshkosh, congratulations on the big win there. We'll both pick Whitewater here, it sounds like, but don't be shocked if it's not, folks. That's all we can say, and that's why I'm going out there. Friday night, I'm going to be down, tonight that is, I'm going to be down at Muhlenberg. Saturday, I'm going to take my first foray ever into the state of Wisconsin. Ever, and not just for football, but forever. So if somebody wants to give me some brat and some cheese and some beer, feel free to, okay?
There you go.
Maybe after the game for that last part.
Right.
But JB, there's a lot of action going on. How would you watch this action?
Well, it does start tonight, so we do have some good games going off. I think there's 4 or 5 tonight, Friday. So you can start off. If you're a New England fan, you got the Mass Dartmouth, Mass Maritime game. If you're more of a Pennsylvania, Maryland kind of guy, in New Jersey, you get Wilkes, Juniata at 6. You got Rowan Hopkins also at 6 o'clock tonight, so a little early bird there. McDaniel Gettysburg, your Sinus Muhlenberg, where Frank will be at, is a good one. And then it looks like some good games start off on Saturday morning. The first one I would probably dial in would be Salve against Merchant Marine at noon. You've got a couple of NESCAC games kicking off at 1:30 and 2. You've got Washington, Jefferson, and Westminster at 1. You got Hobart hosting Ithaca, RPI Rochester at 1 o'clock. You've got Randolph-Macon, Shenandoah, Trinity Center, also at 1 Eastern, Yo Adrian, Albion. And then we start getting into the 2 o'clock games, which is Endicott, Hardin-Simmons. We've got 3 o'clock Montclair, TCNJ. Another big 2 o'clock game, I would say, was probably ETBU and UMHB. You've got North Central Wheaton, which, like we said, maybe doesn't have the same luster as in prior years. We'll have to wait and see. I do think this Illinois College Monmouth game, though, at 2 p.m. on Saturday is going to be a good one, something that people want to check out. And then, obviously, the WEAC games starting at 2, Oshkosh, Whitewater, Platteville, Lacrosse. We got Bethel, Gustavus, also at 2 o'clock. And then later on, we get Ohio Northern, Marietta. That should be a good one. And then as we get into the evenings, Salisbury, hosting Christopher Newport at 6 o'clock is going to be a big game. We've got a 7 p.m. Centenary game. We've got a 7 o'clock. I think that's, we don't have a lot of 7 o'clock games actually. I think that might be one of
The
the
Redlands
only ones
game,
we
I think,
highlighted.
right?
So those games are at 10 p.m. So we got the West Coast Red Eye games with Cal Lutheran and Chapman, Claremont, Pomona, Laverne, and Redlands are the late night ones. But otherwise, I think that's it.
7 o'clock local time. How's that? Sounds good, JB. We are just about going to finish on time here. We want to thank Daniel Clark and Kyle Brown for joining us from Salisbury and from Hardin-Simmons, respectively, and thanks to their coaches and their SIDs for helping us arrange those. I'm excited. I can't wait to get on the road in a few hours to get down to Muhlenberg and see Nate Milne and company against Ursinus, and then to hop on a flight from JFK tomorrow morning to Chicago O'Hare to go and see the Wisconsin experience at Whitewater at the Perk. You'll be on a pregame show, it sounds like, and getting to meet some good folks from warhawkfootball.com and among other things. Cool. So they're rolling out the red carpet to, make me feel loved down there. I know you don't love me when I don't pick you, but we picked you this time, so I guess maybe there'll be a little bit of love going on there. Thanks, JB, for all you do, and thanks for the folks for watching. We'll see you throughout the weekend on X, and then next week, Tuesday or Wednesday, for our Crunch Time show. Take care, folks, and enjoy it.